Hi, this is Jim Cranston from 7 Every Minute and 7everyminute.com, the podcast and website by, for, and about baby boomers. Thanks for joining me tonight to take the next step in envisioning our future. So let's get started. But first, the regular reminder, I'm not a medical professional, but I will be talking about things that I personally find useful and helpful and have helped other people that I've worked with. If you find yourself feeling truly hopeless or depressed, please seek professional medical help or just dial 911. Dialing 988, which is the new 3-digit short code, or 800-273-8255 should get you to a professional on the phone who can coach you through things on your particular situation. Again, if you're feeling particularly depressed or hopeless. So, it's always good to talk to somebody. It's always good to know somebody is around. Keep this information handy for yourself or for a friend. And it's actually been in the news again more recently with a recent event. So I just wanted to make mention of that. And I know it always seems funny to start a podcast off with something like that, but anytime you talk about working with yourself and your own inner feelings, sometimes things come to the surface that are kind of surprising. And so, don't be bashful. If you really feel something's out of control, dial one of the numbers, the 2 short codes, obviously. 911 always works. And then, of course, 988 is the new suicide hotline. So please keep that number handy for yourself or for a friend, especially over the holidays, especially if you start working on your own inner feelings. So if you like what you hear tonight, please leave a like and tell your friends. If not, give me a ring and let me know what you'd like me to talk about. So first, and also I apologize for those of you who are listening live or normally listen live. You probably gave up by now. And that tonight was one of those situations where work ran extremely late. So I could have rushed through and tried to put the final pieces together. And I just thought, I'd rather be late and give you a better talk and a better presentation. So that's what I elected to do. So I do apologize for being late. And I would say it's kind of out of my control. It's actually kind of interesting. It's a fun trade-off. I like doing lives because they are live, and it's a whole different dynamic than when you record something in advance and then play it, or you can go and edit it and make it perfect or whatever. Like I kind of messed up the intro this morning tonight. It's kind of, oh well. It's, as I always say, it's live TV. You get what you get. But it also has a lot more dynamic and a lot more energy in a lot of ways, because as you're talking and thoughts come into your head, you have to instantly weigh whether to include them or not to include them. So I appreciate the feedback I get on these, and I hope you really appreciate that. I really want to give you the best that I can. And so that's why I'm late this evening. And I do apologize for being late, but sometimes life just doesn't go like we expect. And like I often say, then you have to give yourself grace, say you've made the best effort possible, and move forward from there. Sitting there and beating up on yourself does nothing positive and certainly doesn't get you in the right mindset to move forward. So having said all that, longer than I had expected, tonight we're going to talk a little bit more about goal setting and envisionment, of course, but I really also want to kind of revisit something more basic, and that is really, how are you positioning yourself in life relative to your most important and truly life motivating goals, your real inner meaning, your purpose of life? I'm going to steal something from a good friend, or not a good friend, somebody who I follow, Tony Robbins. I totally admire. He has a promotion going on right now about how to become unshakable. And, I'm sure it's an awesome program. Everything I've heard about his work is just amazing. His books are fun. He's great to watch in a film. But the catch line for this one was that to really advance, you need to surround yourself with people better than yourself. People, as he says, who are out of your league. And I've heard that advice a lot. But I found it kind of curious coming from Tony Robbins, because he, probably more than many other people, maybe most other people or all other people, usually really seems to kind of surround himself with people who are far below his league and truly need his help. And he works to pull them up, to help build them up. So kind of the unspoken but sometimes overlooked aspect of that advice, that surround yourself with people out of your league, is really, when you're trying to improve yourself, yes, learn from those who are far above your league. But never forget that your reason for being should always be to help others if you really want to find true contentment. I mention this for a couple of reasons. The first reason is that it's pretty common advice. You see it in a lot of different things. There's books written on it and everything else. But it's kind of, it's often presented as the cost of getting better. Well, you have to leave your old friends behind and surround yourself with better people, right? And I just don't quite buy into that whole thing because, if that happens, that you have to change friends, it should be because your friends became unsupportive because they really didn't want you to succeed. And were they really friends then? It should never be because you kind of dump your old friends because now hopefully you can hang out with people that can teach you something. Because if you really want to succeed together, well, then you're going to have to be working with those other people you're calling your friends now, the new people, because hopefully everyone can work together and still be just more successful and content. If your old friends are truly friends, they'll support you as you try and improve yourself. And hopefully you'll support them back. And then you can all improve. And that's really kind of a win-win. But the other reason I bring it up is because we often hear these catchy little shortcuts, like finding better people to hang out with. If you want to be successful, I've seen that tagline on Instagram Reels and TikToks and various ads on Facebooks and all sorts of things. But the problem with that is if all you do is try and get info from other people, they will quickly grow tired of you and not want to be your friend very long. A friendship is always a two-way street, and both parties have to contribute to it. So this is just kind of a reminder that there's no shortcut to lasting success. Your friendship should always be sincere, and your plan should always be supportive of others, and your goals should always be noble. Those things should never change, no matter how you're trying to change your life. And you should always, treat your friends dearly and try and move everybody forward to a better place. But, what are the most noble goals of all? Well, those are the ones that support your true life purpose. And we've talked about that before. So how do we discover our own life purpose? It's been said that the quality of our lives is determined by the quality of the questions we ask ourselves. Ask yourself superficial questions, and you'll probably end up with a superficial life. We all know many examples, such as people who are only concerned about how, kind of unimportant details, the shine on their car, how they present themselves in a meeting. There are times when those things may be important, but they are generally not life-defining questions nor answers. But if you ask yourself deep or difficult questions about your beliefs, your desires, your relationships, and what you want out of life, you'll begin a journey of self-discovery into the very reasons you find purpose and meaning in life. I'm not going to try and get an example of this because for every person it's very different. And oftentimes it may not even be obvious to us when we first start to think about it, what our real meaning about life is. But there's something known as the technique of the 7 whys. It goes by a bunch of names. But the first couple of answers you typically give when somebody asks you why, it'd be the kind of answer that you give to a stranger at a party. They're quick and they're socially acceptable and everyone will agree. Right? I changed jobs to make more money, or I skipped going to college because it was too expensive. You know, and this technique of the 7 whys works really better with 2 or more people. But after the first couple of whys, well, why don't you just go for a raise, or why don't you ask about financial aid? Well, if you keep asking yourself why and drilling down, the answers start to get more difficult, and they also start to get more real. This is just a taste of how real life discovery coaching can help you get past the stories you've been telling yourself your whole life and start to discover the inner stories that are really controlling your life. And it's those stories, those automations, that often lead us to make the decisions that we do. I'll be talking more about coaching in the future, but really coaching isn't telling you the answer to anything. Coaching really is helping you to discover the answers that you already have inside you. So as promised, we'll come back to coaching and all that, but as I said in the beginning, we're going to switch now and do a quick recap of SMART goals, and we have them on to share. Are they there? Yes, they are. So life discovery is kind of what should drive you towards your goals. But even once you start to set some goals, you really want to kind of use what are very commonly called SMART goals. There's a lot of different acronyms around it. But now that you found your early passion, and you know what you really is going to drive you to move forward, then you have to start laying out goals. But that's kind of hard because a lot of times they're hidden behind the stories we tell ourselves. But once we start really getting down to what is truly important to us, and we say, okay, I'm going to set 2 or 3 goals that really matter, then we want to follow the SMART technique, methodology, which are the goals should be specific. So you really want to have a goal that can be defined and explained concisely, not I want to lose weight or whatever is and that's the first piece. And go back to motivations. Is it that you want to lose weight, or you want to be more fit, or do you want to feel more comfortable, or is it that you just want to lose weight? That's a fine goal, but should you really be clear in your head as it's not just something superficial, it's something very specific, and it should be measurable. I don't want to lose weight, I want to lose 5 pounds. And it has to be, it's something that measures, and it has to be achievable and actionable. It can't be that, oh, I want to lose 500 pounds by the dance next month, right? Not going to happen, can't happen. Has to be actionable. I want to learn how to fly, as in flap your arms and fly. Probably not going to happen. Has to be relevant. Relevant is, it has to be something, if you're going to get your mind to buy into the whole process, then it has to be something that is relevant to your goals, to your meaning of life. I could say, well, I want to learn the piccolo, except it doesn't interest me. I have no reason to learn it. There's just no particular reason. If I try and do it, it probably is not going to last really long. But if I say, oh, I want to become better at playing the piano so I can fill in at church on when the organist doesn't show up. Okay, now there's something that's related to things that are matter to me, and things that are important to me, and things that I can act upon and tie into my inner motivations and goals. But there should still be a reach goal, a stretch goal. If it's just something simple like, oh, I want to practice scales on the piano. Okay, I know how to practice scales, but I want to learn how to play in front of an audience and not get all wound up because I know a bunch of people are listening to me, and I tend to then start missing notes or whatever on the piano. That's more of a reach goal. I'm actually now going out of my comfort zone into something that makes me nervous. Probably then is going to be really something that makes a more important difference in my life. And they have to be time-based. They should have a deadline. If you don't give yourself a deadline, well, then you just kind of tend to keep putting things off, don't you? So it really has to be some sort of time-based. It should be a reasonable time. I want to learn how to play 3 major scales, all the chords in 3 major scales within 3 months, so that I can play them through in front of an audience of at least 10 people. And so now I give my mind something to really think about and to really work towards. And when you take all those things together, the specific, the measurable, the actionable and achievable, the relevant, the reach, and the time-based, now you've given your mind something it can really run, really take and say, okay, now I know what I'm working towards, and now I can really go. So, these are very different than resolutions or wants or dreams. With SMART goals, you have a definitive target. You can tell if you're making progress. They're relevant to your goals, but they still take some effort to attain. And you have a deadline, so you can't keep putting it off. So again, borrowing from Tony Robbins, right? As I said, he's just another one of my heroes. Resolutions are just an intention, but most people don't really have the resolve to do what it takes to meet their goals. I would say the SMART framework, coupled with training our brain to envision our goals, helps us to naturally work towards our goals instead of trying to get there by determination and willpower alone. This is why most resolutions fail. People are just going to power through it. Yeah, I got up today at 5 o'clock and I went to the gym for an hour. And I got up tomorrow at 5 o'clock and I did it. And the third day, I got up at 5:10, I did most of my workout. And the next day, I got up at 5:30 and it was cold outside. And you're just trying to force yourself to do something that your brain hasn't bought into. There's a huge difference that when you are aligned with your goals and you've envisioned what you want to do, now when you pick a SMART goal and you start working towards it, your whole being is aligned with it, and it makes it much easier to keep doing it. You're not trying to force yourself to do it. Your brain is drawing you forward so that you do it naturally. Again, we'll be talking more about all of this in our upcoming See Your Future Transformed course. And that covers the whole process in a lot more detail. But if you want to get a start on reimagining your future, then perhaps this week you can pick a couple of goals, and then alone or with someone else to kind of help coach along, do the technique of the 7 whys to try and discover why you really picked those goals, and just, keep trying to dig down into why you gave the answer you just did. And hopefully you'll start to come to really some surprising insights into what's driving you forward and motivating you along. But that's it for the evening. And where are we? There we are. Remember, please, that the war in Ukraine is still going on. If you're able and interested, the page of donations is always up at ukr7.com. The link to World Central Kitchen is there. It's right at the very top of the donation page. Ukraine right now can really use a lot of help. They've been, a lot of people send a lot of things. It's all excellent. And I would just encourage you, it's just one more way in the holiday season that you can show your appreciation for what you have in your life and share it with others. So if you can, please check it out at ukr7.com. Remember, one of the best ways to care for yourself is to care for others. And that's it for this evening. Thank you for stopping by. If you found something interesting or useful, please pass it along. Please hit that like button. If not, please drop me a comment as to what you'd like to hear. Have a great week and a wonderful new year. Remember to live the life that you dreamed of, because that's the path to contentment. See you next week on 7 Every Minute and 7everyminute.com. I will make every effort to be on time. And if this continues, we'll just have to change the time that we go live. Thank you again. Have a fantastic week. Bye.